On today's episode of Up in the Air, we bring on a very smart and talented person who is always sure to never take themselves too seriously. She received her undergraduate from UC Davis, took a little bit of a break, and is now a first-year medical student at Kansas City University. She's definitely one of the most down-to-earth people I've ever been around, and I'm very fortunate to have called her a lifelong friend. Everybody, Kaitlyn Stanley. All right, welcome everybody. Episode 9 of Up in the Air, and bringing on someone I've known possibly too long. She makes me feel very old. Kaitlyn Stanley, how are you, Kaitlyn?
I'm good, and we're pretty much the same age, so I feel old as well. No worries there. But yeah, I've known Alex since like first grade, I think. I don't know.
I think second grade. Were we in that combo class together with
Kalish?
Mrs. Kalish? Yeah.
Yeah, she's an angel.
Yeah,
But,
I vividly remember those days, but it's hard to imagine. Number one, we've known each other that long, but number two, it feels like if I do see you, it's not like there's been too much time away. At least, you'd like to think.
Yeah, no, we pick up where we left off. It's pretty nice, but
so,
anyways, thanks for having me.
Yeah, of course. Where are you right now? Because I'm always curious.
Yeah.
All my friends are in so many different places now, including myself. So where are you right now?
Yeah, I'm in Kansas City, Missouri. Go Chiefs. Unfortunate loss this year, but I'm bandwagoning. Anyways, I'm here for med school. I'm in my first year at Kansas City University, and I'm currently sitting in a study space, so I have an exam next week, but I'm really excited to be here. But yeah, I've been in Missouri since July. I moved out here 2020, and this is my first year. So we'll be ending it in May, and I'll come home to Fresno for a bit, and then I'll come back here. So it's been a pretty fun experience. Like, I was a little skeptical of the Midwest, being from California. I'm like, oh, that weather. And honestly, everything was great until about I think it was 2 or 3 weeks ago. I experienced the coldest weather I'd ever experienced in my life. It was like negative degrees. So I remember I didn't start my car all week. So I was like, I'm not going out in the snow. I've never driven in the snow. Like, I'm just terrified, whatever. I had my groceries delivered. So pathetic. So
it's so California of you.
I know. I was just terrified of driving in the snow. I was like, no way am I going to chance this. I have front wheel drive. I don't even have I have a basic California car. It's not.
What do you have?
A Kia.
Go Kia
Sorento. It's an SUV.
Yeah.
It's a 2015. So
you don't have all-wheel drive?
Nope.
Oh,
got the
okay, then you're
cheapest
screwed.
base model. Yeah, no, I got front wheel. I'm not really sure what that even means. I thought it was 4-wheel because the F. But
no.
Anyways, yeah. Learned that the hard way. So yeah, I finally drove my car when the snow was cleared for the most part from the roads, and obviously my tire pressure was low. So I was like, oh, I'll just pull over at a gas station, no gloves. I had a parka, but I literally got out of the car, and as I was unscrewing the cap to the tire, my hands literally froze. I could not feel my thumb, my index finger. And I immediately went in the car and had the heat blasting, and my fingers felt like they were on fire because they were thawing out. And I was obviously immediately called my parents. I was like, I don't know what to do. I can't even fill up my tires.
Why am I here?
It's so cold. They're like, get some gloves, grow up, get out there. You're going to be fine, whatever. They weren't that helpful, but it's okay. It only lasted a week. And then now it's 73. So
yeah, because I know I don't know if the elevation is high there. I don't think it is, right?
I'm going to be honest, I'm not sure, but I was under the impression it wasn't. I was under the impression it wasn't, but I'm not positive.
And so
but it was cold.
Yeah, I doubt if I asked you 10 years ago, where are you going to end up and, start doing this schooling, I don't think Kansas City would have been on the top of that list. No. So how does that even come into kind of your frame of mind and even part of your decision-making process? And did you visit Kansas City prior to going there for school?
Yeah, so basically the med school application process is kind of insane. There's not you pretty much just apply everywhere you can. Ideally California would have been nice because it's close to home, but it's some of the most competitive schools. So I applied literally everywhere. And KCU is a pretty reputable program. It's been around for like over 100 years. So I was
Wow.
like, okay. I went and interviewed. I really liked the city. Brian Yang, I don't know if you remember him. He's like
Yeah.
a year older than us. He goes here.
Oh,
So I
I didn't
like
know that.
so random, but I reconnected with him randomly like the summer before he left. Like we were selling a house, whatever. I was walking the dogs. He like saw me and I was like, Brian, like, how are you? Whatever. He's like, oh, I'm actually going to med school. And I'm like, I'm applying. Like, where are you going? And we kind of stayed in touch with the application process. And when I interviewed here, he met up with me the night before and showed me around a little bit, which was nice to have someone that was like familiar with the area because you like kind of fly in alone. And this was pre-COVID, thankfully. I got an interview pre-COVID.
Oh God.
So that was in October. So it was way pre-COVID. But anyways, yeah, so I visited and the weather was nice. There was no snow because it was October. So I got in just the right time and I saw the city and it is actually a fun city. I don't know. I expected like Midwest to be super rural and they do have obviously rural locations around here, but Kansas City is pretty fun. So I got to look around. We ate at like a good restaurant. I got some barbecue, obviously.
I was going to ask you about that. Is it what it is propped up to be, or is that just like an overrated?
So I've had Texas barbecue and Kansas City barbecue, and it's definitely different. I think Kansas City has better sauces. Like the flavor is there. I had a brisket though in Texas that was like borderline life-changing, but that was the first barbecue I'd ever had, like legit barbecue, you know, like besides like our parents cooking and stuff.
Right. But, yeah, this is a different ballgame.
Yeah. So when I came here, what I like here is the burnt ends. I believe it's also brisket. It's just like a burnt, charred end of it.
I think that's like a Kansas City specialty, correct?
I think so too. So I've had like the full brisket but honestly, I stick to the burnt ends. I have not branched out. I've like tried a bite of a rib and it was good, but like I haven't tried much of anything else. I just stick to what I know. And it's been really good, but the sauces are delicious. It's more of like a sauce thing here. I feel like whereas in Texas, I felt like that was less, but
it's more of like the wood fire smoked the meat itself rather than just the sauce.
They're both so good, but you're like immediately in a food coma following it. So I don't eat it all the time.
I would feel like you wouldn't want to do much after.
No,
especially if you're drinking.
You don't get much done. No. Pretty much no studying after that. It's just
so you go do that. You get kind of like this tour. And are you already thinking in the back of your mind, this is where I want to go? Or did you have other, places in mind? Where did this rank kind of?
Yeah. So I was very fortunate to have had like an acceptance to a program in Nevada prior. So I had something to like tangible to compare it to. And the Nevada school, like the area was nice. It was like 15 minutes from Vegas. Again, this is pre-COVID. So in my mind, I'm like, ooh, post-exam, like I'm out. Like
go to the Strip.
The city that doesn't sleep. Like I can get something 24/7. Like, cause I stay up late, wake up late. Like I'm not a very functioning human of society at this point with school. So that would have worked well as well. So I was like, ooh, that's nice. Quick flight home, like whatever. And then when I came here, the school, the people on campus, like, okay, I gotta be careful with my words here. Everyone was friendly everywhere. But at Kansas City, like it seemed like people really genuinely enjoyed being a part of the program. Like they were just so excited about it. A lot of them were not from Kansas City. Like a lot of them actually had chosen places further from home just to go here. And I thought that spoke a lot because I remember at the Nevada school, a lot of people are like, you always ask like, oh, why'd you choose here? Like, what do you like? And they're all like, oh, it's close to home, Like it's the closest to home. I'm like, how often do you get to go home? Like, honestly, I mean, COVID changed that a little bit. I was home for a while for break.
That completely changed everything. But you couldn't have foreseen that. That was nowhere near your frame of mind.
Yeah, exactly. But everyone that was at Kansas City was like, I chose it because the program, the family feel, like I really enjoy it here, like blah, blah, little things like the Chiefs, the barbecue, there's tons of coffee shops, like the social aspect, like the family feel. I don't know, it was just really enticing. And I was like, ooh, like that would be awesome, like all these people like choosing this school from other states, like that really speaks a lot about the program, I feel like. So, and then also I had Brian Yang talking it up. So,
I mean, I think to your point, like there's a lot of different places you can go. And if you trust yourself enough, you'll get the teaching that you need, the education that you need. But to your point, like it's also a living situation and you are far away from home. So if you don't have that closeness, you better have other things lined up that are going to make you happy and allow you to do your work the way you want. And I've heard nothing but good things about Kansas City from pretty much everybody I've talked to that's either visited and or lived there. And when I lived in Denver, they were like, "Oh yeah, Kansas City feels like a mini Denver." And I love Denver, so to me it would probably be a no-brainer to want to hang out there and to your point have like that family vibe. But I'm sure you never thought you'd end up there, but I'm sure now there's no regret.
Yeah, no, I never in my life imagined I'd be in the Midwest, but I don't regret it. I actually really enjoy it here. Everyone I've encountered has been so nice too. I think maybe that's a Midwest thing. I don't know, but everyone's really kind. I still have my California plates and I haven't been honked at much.
Really?
So,
Okay, so this is something that I've experienced negatively. In Denver,
oh,
I was flipped off for my California plates. I was honked at, like, go back home, get out of here. So when I moved to Bend, people in here don't like Californians either. And so thank God I had Colorado plates. So when people asked where I was from, I would just say, "Oh yeah, I just moved here from Denver." And so they wouldn't assume that I was from California. But if you say California, they assume like you're from San Francisco or LA
yeah.
or San Diego, something like that. You're like into surfing
Hmm.
or, you're a laid back guy. And I'm like, "Look, man, not to crap on Fresno, but I'm from Fresno. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not from Hollywood. I'm not from Beverly Hills.
Yeah.
It's not a terrible place. I'm not from the ghetto or the middle of nowhere, but I'm not in some uppity
Yeah.
lifestyle that I had. So I think it kept us grounded in a way. And maybe that's why it's easier for us to go to
Yeah.
places like that.
I don't know. I feel like when I tell people I'm from California, there's like, "Oh, what are you doing here? Like, why'd you leave?"
Why are you here?
And I'm like, "Oh, I'm here for school." And they're just all so nice. I don't know. I've had a good experience. I got lucky.
Well, I think it'd be very
Um,
difficult for someone to like you're not very high maintenance, and I don't think you give off that
mm,
vibe of like, being the girl from Cali and you can't
yeah.
handle yourself. Like, you played sports, you can hang out, with the boys and do all those
Yeah.
things. So I don't think that would be something that would, deter you from anything. But something that I've always thought of too, and I don't know if you experience this, when you move to a new place and you're there to like do something like you're doing, do you feel pressured to make new friends, or is it just
Mm.
kind of like, I'm here to get my stuff done, I've got friends, and I'm out?
No, that's a great question. Actually, I was worried about that, like moving here during a pandemic, like how would I meet people kind of thing, because our classes are all online right now. And
Oh
our
wow.
lab, we went in like once a week for lab. So, and it was just one partner and you're full like, PPE. So it was tough to meet people. I was worried about it, but everyone was super proactive because everyone was in the same boat, like coming from a different place. So they're like, we held like Zoom meetings and stuff with the class. And then I was looking for a roommate because I didn't want to live alone during my first year. And I met people that way. And then we just started like a huge group text prior to coming to school. And then we met like in an outdoor, like 6 feet apart, mask, like, social
So
event.
awkward.
Like, I know it's like basically a giant picnic, but sit like away, bring your own blanket,
Away from each other.
Yeah. So I actually, and then from there, everyone kind of like made their groups of people. And I actually met like a really good group of girls and guys here, actually. Like everyone's been super, like, I just got lucky. Like, I feel like we're at that time in our age where people are a little more mature.
Yeah.
So it's been really fun getting to know people and see like where they're from and what their goals are, especially with medicine, like what field they're trying to pursue. And it's been good to have like kind of like, I guess like a support system within the school itself, because we're all taking the same classes, like we're all going through the same tests, the same everything. So it's nice to like have people to talk through things with or be stressed with or celebrate with when you're done.
Yeah.
So it's been really nice, but I feel like I needed to meet a group because it's just such a new place for me. Like it was nice having people to explore like Kansas City with, instead of just being like kind of lost, or because COVID, like everything shut down. It's not the same. Like,
Yeah, that would
so
just make things so much more difficult, I would assume, because now you're stuck and you're in a place you're not familiar with. It's
yeah.
smaller than being like, I remember when it all happened, I'm in an apartment and I don't like to even be home that much. I'm not a homebody. And I thought to myself, even if I just had a backyard, for God's sake, or even if I had a little, area I could go that was connected, it would be so much better. And, if I had a home, that'd be nice. But when you're in an apartment like that, you're not familiar with the area, and you don't feel like you've totally explored the city, and now they're telling you can't go anywhere, it drove me nuts. And it really tested my ability to do my job the right way and stay focused. So, I mean, I can't even imagine doing that and having schooling. Number one, I can't even imagine being in school still. I don't know how you're doing that.
Yeah, I feel like, I don't know. For me, when I got here, we had like 2 weeks because we had to get COVID tested, and then we had a 2-week quarantine before we could like pick up our, I guess, PPE from the school for the lab programs. So,
Oh, they gave you all that stuff.
yeah, so we have like the N95s and the goggles and stuff like that, but which was nice of them to provide that. But during like that 2 weeks, I was like just trying to familiarize myself with grocery store, all that stuff. And then as soon as school started, it was kind of like a wall. You're like, whoa,
Yeah.
that's a lot of information. I have no time to do anything except study anyways. So I grew very accustomed to my little desk in my bedroom, which is right next to my bed, which makes things challenging because I would find myself slowly migrating.
Yeah, falling asleep.
Passing out, and wake up and do the same thing. So, yeah, that was a tough adjustment because I hadn't been in school, for a while since undergrad, really. So, that was interesting. But you kind of learn in that the first course we took was literally 3 weeks long. Like our first test was like a week after. Like they just flood you with information. They're like, here we go, like got a test. And once you kind of get over that little barrier, like, okay, I took the test, I did okay, like this is what I need to do from now on. Like it kind of, you just got more into your routine. So I feel like honestly school helped with this whole COVID situation because it got me to do something like that I can't really be around people to be productive. So
you had no other option but to focus on the work in front of you.
Yeah, and I think it really helped. Like it helped with the transition because I was worried. I'd been out of school for like 3 years when I started, so I was like, yeah, 3, yeah.
See, we're old, isn't that terrible?
Oh, I'm turning 26 in a month, and I'm like, I'm closer to 30.
Yeah, no, I'm already
happening?
there. It's not cool. Like 26 was not cool. Like even 25 was not cool, but 26, you're not even like the young person anymore. You're kind of like the, oh, you graduated like 4 years ago guy. Oh, okay.
I know. Anyway. I'm like, when you're meeting people, they go off of like high school graduation year, kind of like, oh, what class are you? And I'm like, 2013.
Yeah.
Been a minute.
We're coming up on 10 years now.
I know. I'm like, it's been a minute. But there's people in my class that are older, much older, and they're like, I think I have someone in my class who's like in her 50s, honestly. Which is
my God. Well, that's another thing I was going to ask. My sister is finishing up law school, and when she got there, super intimidating because, to your point, a lot of people took sort of like a 2-3 year gap. And so here she is walking in at 22, and she's already young for her grade.
Yeah.
And, she's telling me, oh, these guys are 27, 28. Somebody's almost 40, and it's intimidating. And I don't know what it's like for you over there, but do you feel like you're on the younger end of the spectrum or kind of in the middle of the pack?
I feel like I'm kind of at the average age. So I guess I would say middle of the pack then to answer that question. First of all, McKenna's amazing. I knew she's going to figure it out. She's just so good at everything.
Don't let her head get too big though.
That would intimidate me if I were the guys. So I'm like, oh, look at her, got everything going on. But anyways,
she's not intimidating. She's frightening, but that's different.
But here, there are people that are like fresh out of college, undergrad, that applied like their junior year. So it takes like a year to get in. So they're young. We got like some 22-year-olds. Someone was 21. Like, jeez. That is young. And then, I'm 25. I'm about to be 26. And there's a few people that are like late 20s, even early 30s. And then that one, she's a bit of an outlier. In her 50s, like already has a family and a law degree and just decided to come back and pursue medicine. I don't know, more power to her. But I do feel like I'm in the middle, and I kind of feel like age matters a little less at this point. Like, yeah, people wonder how old you are and stuff more in school, but you're kind of all grouped into the same thing. So you just kind of forget, like, people maybe just finished and Some have been doing another career for so long, and not like it. I don't know. Life experiences play into it a bit. With like our patient encounters, like we have like standard patient encounters that they'll
Right.
sometimes do, and I think like having a bit more of the clinical experience helps with that. But I mean, eventually everyone will get there. Like I don't think the age really matters that much. But yeah, that's funny. It is true. I am middle of the pack now. Hey, at least I'm not the oldest though.
Yeah, I know. I feel like that at work sometimes. Like there's so many young people there, and I'm just like, I used to be the young guy in the office. When I did sales, I was the
We
young
are
guy.
still young.
Yeah, but
Technically.
I'd like to think I'm only getting better with age. Like every year, get a little better, maybe get a
It's
little
like fine
healthier.
wine.
And
It's like
yeah,
fine
exactly,
wine.
exactly. But so what did you do then? I mean, I know I talked about this with you briefly, but I don't think we ever really sat down and like, if someone were to ask me what exactly is she doing, prior to going to school, I don't think I'd be able to answer that question eloquently enough. So what did you do in that 3-year span, and how did you maintain the motivation to, ultimately apply and follow through with something you've always wanted to do?
Yeah, so when I graduated, I began scribing, and I kind of have a little bit of a different path to med school because like my parents split up during my senior year of college, so kind of around the time I was trying to figure out the MCAT, not the best timing, but everything happens for a reason. So I ended up having to take it again, and I scribed during the time for 2 years at the ear, nose, and throat medical group in Fresno.
Hmm.
One position primarily, but that's kind of where I learned like how important the patient physician interaction is. And I think that helped me a lot, like my clinical experience. Like I think that stood out hopefully a little bit in my application. So I think it helped me a lot with getting into a program. And then after I got in, I decided I had been working at that place long enough, and I switched to work as a scribe still, but at a cardiologist group, kind of just get more of an
Oh,
idea of different specialties. And then COVID hit, and they were like letting people go, and I volunteered because I was going to be leaving like in a month, so I was like, I'm already going to be going. So I actually got some unemployment, which was unexpected, but
really?
not bad going into significant debt. I was like, I'll
Yeah.
take what I can get. So,
It'll just
you know,
scratch the surface of it, but at least it's something.
yeah, it's pretty sad. My mentality about finances has changed significantly. I'm like, oh, what's another? I mean, I'll just be paying this 3 times off in like the future.
So you're
So,
saying you've gotten to a
but
point where you're like, I'm already, this
yeah,
this deep into it, might as well just.
yeah, pretty much. It's like,
Hey.
oh, if you need it for school, it's worth the investment. Like, oh, like even some little like $30 subscription to like some anatomy app. I'm like, it's for school.
Oh,
Like it's
I'm terrible with that stuff. I just hate spending money in general. I'd rather
me
just have
too.
it.
Me
But to
too.
your point, I think
But
you
yeah,
get to a point where
sorry.
you're like, hey, you know what? I'm just gonna go all in with this, and at the end of it, I'll pay it all off, and it'll all be
Yeah.
worth it. So, I mean, I need more of that mindset. I find myself worrying so much financially all the time. But to your point, like you're trying to get somewhere and you're trying to do it, just do it, and worry about it
Yeah.
later, I guess.
I mean, I guess the way I look at it is like, okay, I mean, it's pretty significant debt. It's like 50 grand a year just for the school, and it's 4-year program. And then I have like living expenses, obviously. So I'm kind of like, actually, like in the grand scheme of things, what is 2 grand gonna mean on that
Right,
number? Like, you
right.
know what I mean? It's like literally,
It's all relative at that point.
yeah. So I guess it's a nice-ish way to live. But hey, other people do it, so that's
Right.
my motivation. I'm like, look, they could do it, I can do it. Like other people get through this, it's gonna be okay. Like, it's gonna be fine. And all my friends here are in the same boat. So,
And,
but
I
yeah.
don't know if this is just because things have gotten so much more fast paced or it's just something with our generation, but I think we're very impatient. And I don't
Hmm.
know if that's just because everything now is so immediate. I mean, you want to stream something, you can do it. You want to buy something online and have it delivered to your door, you can do that. And
Yeah.
so the idea of going to school for that long with your undergraduate medical school, and then you have to do, even steps
Residency.
thereafter the residency. Do you think that the medical field it will change the way they do this? Is it becoming antiquated or archaic? And do you think it's sustainable, or will it deter people from wanting to do this?
I don't think, unfortunately, that it will change or shorten just because it's so important to get that time in. And like, I mean, you're treating people, like you are
Right.
then responsible for people and their health, and like they do I feel like this time is necessary, honestly, maybe even more because I mean, once we're out there, like people look to us, our patients would look to us to help them, and you need to know what you're doing. Like, you need that experience. It is long to see the way they do it is like the first 2 years of school are just like you're hitting the books. Like it's all that you're just learning all the science behind everything, the diseases and everything like that. And then you take your board exams and then you do rotations. So then you kind of get more clinical. It's like the clinical experience side of it for the next 2 years. And then you go into residency. And depending on what you want to specialize in, like for me, I'm still interested in internal medicine. So that's just a 3-year residency, whereas others you add on more to that. Each one adds on more time. And then once you're done with that, you start you start practicing on your own essentially. So like neurosurgeons, I don't even know how long, excuse me, for them. I think it's like, oh, I honestly don't know. I think it's over
I would
5 years of
imagine it's
residency.
ridiculous because
Probably
that
like
just
7, maybe. I
of
honestly am not
residency.
sure. Yeah, because it's 3 years of everyone does 3 years. And then like I think general surgery does 5 total. So I imagine neuro's more, like 7. I don't know. I
But to
have
your point,
obviously I'm not
yeah,
interested
no,
in
to your
pursuing neuro.
point, yeah, no,
So I haven't looked into that, but
to your point
it's
is
long.
life and death, in certain
Yeah.
situations, not every day, but
Yeah.
you're going to have those moments. And when you were talking about the other stuff you did, the more clinical things that kind of gave you more life experience, do they teach you guys how to deal with those difficult conversations you have to have? Or is that something you just kind of have to naturally do on your own?
So I think they they try their best to teach some of that stuff. Like we'll have a bioethics class and they'll go through like difficult scenarios, but I feel like it's not really something that can just be like taught or spoken about. Like you actually have to go out and like experience it. I don't know, because I feel like I'm a pretty emotional person. When I think about like hard cases or having to like tell a family some bad news, like I
Right.
feel like at this time in my life, I feel like that would make me obviously sad, and I'm not sure how my emotions would play out into that conversation. That's something I feel like I'm definitely going to have to learn and adapt to kind of control those emotions. So yeah, they tell us like what we should do, but you can't read off a script. Like it has to come across naturally. I mean, like these are real people. This isn't like a simulation situation. So that's going to be something I feel like I'm going to learn more in the clinical rotations. Because as a scribe, you're kind of just in the room, like you're like the fly on the wall typing everything up. Like I had some patient interaction depending on who I was scribing for. Like I would get to do more patient interaction that way, more of like a medical assistant role, but for the most part I just kind of sat there and watched. And I feel like that's something like a lot of people are born with that, like being able to communicate well with people, but I think for the most part, a lot of the difficult conversations are going to be kind of like acquired knowledge. Like you're going to go through
Right.
it and you're going to learn from each experience how you're going to be better for the next patient, or how you're going to word things differently. Like, I don't know, that's going to be one of the tougher parts of the job, in my opinion. Like, I'm honestly not sure how that's going to go, but I'm going to learn. I'm going to get
Yeah.
there. So I'll have it eventually. I got a long time ahead of me, but yeah, that's tough. That's going to be tough. But
And, I think something that, people talk about this every now and then in terms of, trying to find, which avenue to take in terms of getting into the medical field. And I think a lot of people, I don't know if this is true, but it seems like a lot of people eventually figure out they may want to do something else than they initially believed, because maybe the journey to get to the end goal that they had in mind is not worth it for them. Like the end goal sounds great, but maybe the journey to get there isn't.
yeah.
And I think that's something everybody has to work through. So I know you were saying you're not doing a specific, is it the MD portion? So what exactly,
Oh, right.
is the path
Yeah.
you're taking? And then where is the end goal here? Like what's the ideal situation for you?
Yeah, so I'm actually at a DO program. It's like a doctor of osteopathic medicine. So it is the same as an MD, but we get a degree in, we get a doctorate of osteopathy. So to explain it, because not a lot of people are super familiar with it, but it is the same. We take the same classes. It's the same duration. We take the same board exams. Actually, I just have like osteopathic physicians have a second board exam technically that focuses on the osteopathic portion of it. So we take 2 board exams, but we take the same boards as the MD programs, and same residency, same 4 years, same clinical rotations, all that. Everything's the same. We just have one extra class that is basically osteopathic manipulation. So to kind of explain it the best way that I can, it's like they're trying to teach us to use our hands to locate dysfunction and to different techniques that they have observed over the years that help alleviate that dysfunction. Some of the techniques I've learned, I think, have been pretty decent. Others, I'm like, that's going to be difficult to do in a like patient setting, but okay, so it's kind of teaching us to use our hands. It's like I think we have like, I don't even know how many hours we need, at least 200 I think, to but it's teaching us to use our hands essentially. In my opinion, it's a lot like physical therapy techniques, or maybe even some chiropractic techniques. It's kind of teaching us those things. A little difficult.
Interesting.
Like someone with like neck pain, like, maybe they can't turn their head as well, like we could do some manipulation essentially to help that. It's like, I feel like this is going to be something I'm going to have to experience on my own with a patient to see the results. It's definitely unique.
Yeah.
But it's the same path. It's the same tests. We're still a doctor. We still write prescriptions. Everything's the same.
Okay.
We just have that extra class essentially. So.
And so would you want to go work at a large, hospital somewhere, East Coast, West Coast, or would you rather do your own thing, like a private practice?
That's tough. I feel like, so I want to have a family. Like I want to have kids. I want to be able to like be there for them and stuff. So I think I've just been knocking out things I'm not that interested in that are a little tougher with the lifestyle portion. I think at this point, a private practice setting would be the best for me, at least at this point. I love having relationships with people. That's why I'm drawn towards internal medicine, the longevity of care with your patients. Like it's something that entices me. So I think if I had a private practice, kind of similar to my dad's situation, basically. So yeah, he has his own practice. He's able to like go to sporting events and kind of create his own schedule, so to speak. That's something that I would like. However, I have thought about working in a hospital before. I'm just not really sure at this point, like what I gravitate towards the most. Like the private practice sounds great, like it fits all the boxes, But when I do rotations or something, like I could be drawn to the hospital. I'm not sure. It's just I don't know. So much can change because we're in it for so long.
That's what I was going to say. It's like you may have in the back of your mind what you want right now, but by the time you finish with all this, you could be in a completely different mindset than what you're saying to me right now.
Yeah, and that's what's tough. But as of right now, I see myself like, finishing residency and starting my own practice, if I have patients, like that would be ideal. Or maybe starting in a group setting and then branching off like into a private practice setting. But
would you go back home or no?
I know Fresno's like a black hole. I'm not sure. I do like my family's there. It would be nice to be close to everyone. Like I had a great experience growing up in Fresno. I mean, I didn't know what I was missing either, like you just grow up, that's all you have. But I had a great high school experience. Like I feel like I made great friends like you. I mean, I feel like there are great people there. And it was an easy place to grow up in. Like I do think having a family there would be nice. I haven't experienced much else. I do think I want to be back in California. I just don't think you can beat the weather. I really, when I experienced that cold. I was like, why would anyone live anywhere colder than this? Like, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
not something I'm used to. Maybe I would be used to it after a few years here, but I definitely think I want to be back in California. I just don't exactly know where. I think SoCal is enticing. There's like little area like Thousand Oaks, or there's areas like that aren't in
Oh, very nice.
LA necessarily, like on the outskirts a
Yeah.
little
I
bit,
used
but
to
the
drive through
weather's
there all the
nice.
time.
Yeah, it's a great place. I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah.
totally doable. I don't know. Where do you want to end up? You're like in Oregon?
I love Bend. Love it. Similar, to what you were saying, I didn't really know anything about it. I had heard good things about it.
Yeah.
And when I was working in Santa Barbara, it's the same parent company that owns both TV stations. So I knew about Bend.
Okay.
But I never imagined ending up here. I was on the sales path and I was pretty committed to it. And I just thought, you know what? Financially, it's great for me. I can travel to cool places.
Yeah.
And the schedule was easy. It was 8:30 to 5:30 job, 9 to 5.
Oh, that's nice.
And when the pandemic hit, it completely changed my thought process. And I just woke up and I hated doing the sales calls, especially while everyone was going through such turmoil with everything.
Yeah.
And here I am calling business owners trying to, convince them to stay strong and keep spending money. And I get it, in sales, you have to be aggressive, but I think there were times where I was too empathetic with them. And my dad's like that with sales. He's not very aggressive, never has been. He was always just a good people person. And so for me, it was like, I don't like this. I don't feel like I'm doing anybody any good. So finally I made the transition, and then getting the offer in Bend, it was like, well, this looks really cool. And the outdoor aspect here, I mean, we're
Yeah.
25 minutes away from the ski resort. It's pretty unbelievable, and I'm very fortunate. But where I'd want to end up, I'd like to come back here and get a house one day. I can tell you that, like as a second home. But I kind of always envisioned myself like in a big urban setting, like a New York or an LA.
Oh,
But
wow.
I think parts of that have changed of me just being in a place like this. I enjoy it so much. But I think a smaller town can get you in a bit of a routine, and things can become a little bit too habitual. Whereas with a bigger city, it maybe never feels like you've, covered all your bases there. So I take it as I go, to your point. I don't know how I'll feel in 2-3 years from now. I
Yeah.
just want to keep progressing career wise and what makes sense for me, personally and professionally. But it's stressful.
Yeah.
It's certainly stressful because, to your point, like, I want a family too. And, I don't want to have my kids grow up in some place that I don't think is good for them.
Yeah.
I wouldn't want them to have to worry about, money or college or any of that kind of stuff. So I think if I can just focus and to your point, just like keep my head going and just work, then 5-6 years from now, I'll thank myself like, hey, you grinded it out and now look where you're at. But
Yeah.
it's complicating. It's stressful because I get impatient with it, but I have to remind myself to just take a step back and, hey, be thankful for the situation you're in. Things aren't going to happen overnight.
Yeah, I think that was like kind of an issue I may have had when I was an undergrad. Like, I felt like I had a plan and
Yeah.
everything was gonna go to plan. Like, this is looking back, I'm like, you're so dumb. But I was like, I'm
Yeah.
gonna get married after undergrad. I'm gonna go to school. I'm gonna start a family. Like, oh my God, I could go back and just like, no, honey, absolutely not.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, I don't know. I've definitely changed my mentality. I'm trying to see, like, I'm trying to enjoy the moment and not like freak out about the little planning. Like, oh, where am I? Like, there's a lot of uncertainty with where I'm going to end up for these next few years is the issue. Like, the 2 years are, you're in class, school. I mean, it's online right now, but you still have to be here for lab and stuff. The next 2 years, like, you could end up in a different place. Like, I could go back to Fresno even. They have a spot there for rotations for 2 years.
Interesting.
And then the next 3 years for residency, like, you get matched. You don't know where you're going to be. It's uncertain. Like,
You have no say.
I mean, you get to pick like your top choices,
Okay.
and they hopefully pick you. I mean, it's kind of one of those things, like, you interview and everything, but it's just a lot of uncertainty. So I'm like, I don't, like, the whole, oh, you need to have a plan thing just does not work for this. So just taking it more like day by day, kind of exam by exam, like is
Yeah.
how I live now. But yeah, it's definitely, I had the wrong mentality before, and it is better to take it day by day. I mean, I was so young then too. I was like, why did I think like I think it's just because my parents married young, you know? So it's like, oh, they had
How
me
young were
by
they?
my age. By 26, I was born for them. Like, you know what I mean? I'm
That
like, oh
is
my
pretty
God.
young.
Like,
My
it's
parents
just,
got married when they were 26, but they
that's
waited like
still young.
5 years to have me because I mean, I think they just wanted time to themselves, especially my dad. I don't think he was
Yeah.
ready for that. But no, I think about it too. Like I'm 26. My dad and mom got married at 26, you know? I just don't think things happen as quickly anymore.
No, I think, yeah, that's definitely, I think our generation has slowed some things down.
Yeah.
Although I've seen a ton of engagements this last year,
Yes, right?
like more than I've ever seen. Like
Yeah.
everyone I know, I feel like is getting
Yeah.
engaged, which is honestly super exciting. But it's just like
Right.
that, we're at that time in our lives now
Yeah, I'm down
where
to go to
it's,
weddings. Weddings are great, you
oh
know.
yeah,
So if I get invited, hell,
oh,
I'm there.
absolutely. It's a blast.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's definitely like what it's interesting to see what all our peers are doing, you know, because it's like, oh, it's that time. Like it's happening.
Well, and now
We're
you can't
growing
even
up.
celebrate, the way you want because of
Yeah.
COVID. Like, I had a
Yeah.
bachelor party get canceled. His wedding got postponed. Like, so many things that I enjoy, concerts or a music
Yeah.
festival, anything like that has just gone away.
I know. And
And it sucks because those were my times to hang out with the people that I grew up with in college.
yeah.
That's what we did. And
Yeah.
now there was no way to go and do that. And they just actually came and visited me this weekend. We went skiing, thank God. But before that, I mean, you want to go visit them in LA and everyone's locked down, you
Yeah.
know?
It's really hard to keep in touch with people. I think obviously FaceTime's been huge. Like we're
Right.
so blessed to have technology. Um, but yeah, I know. It actually makes me appreciate more like the concerts and just the outings like to restaurants or happy hours or little things that sometimes I'd be like, I don't, I'm not feeling it, but like this isn't that, I
Right.
don't know. It really makes you appreciate those things.
Oh,
So
yeah.
I actually bought tickets to the weekend concert. That's a year from like now. That's
Wow.
in Kansas City. I'm ready to get back out there and have a decent time. I don't know. I'm assuming COVID will be gone by then, but I have been assuming that since the 2 weeks to
Right.
flatten the curve thing like a week ago.
It's a hurry up and
Here.
wait thing. Like, oh, hurry up, we're gonna get there. All right, wait.
Yeah.
Hurry up and then wait. And so I
I'm
never have any faith that anything will go as they say because bureaucracy sucks and the
it's the
distribution of it.
media. The media sucks.
Hey,
Ugh.
don't crap on that. But
Not you. The
oh,
political media.
oh,
Oh my
you'd be
God.
surprised how many phone calls we get about you guys need to do something about the lack of vaccines and say something. And I said, this woman calls the other day. I said, ma'am, these are opinion news shows. It's entertainment. They want to get people riled up. I said, as a local
Yeah.
news station, I can't say the words I think or I believe
Yeah,
or
that's
we think
true.
this. And because they've been conditioned to watch Fox or CNN,
Yeah.
they think that all the other news outlets are supposed to act like that. And I'm sitting there like, you do realize these people are television hosts and their job is to entertain at the end of the day. They're not providing you any news, and then you send it out to look at the pundits and the lawyers and the former politicians. It's a giant TV show. But
Yeah.
people, I don't want to say they're dumb. They're caught up and they like hearing the same thing over and over again. It's like this affirmation bias or
Mm.
confirmation bias or whatever. And it's so toxic for what we do. Ugh, I hate it.
Yeah.
See,
Yeah.
I'm getting all fired up now.
That's okay. That's all right. How do you like working and not being able to really share your opinion? Does that like affect you at all, or is it kind of better?
That's a very good question. I think about that regularly. I think what it forced me to do was in college, I did a lot of radio. So you kind of have to
Yeah.
just talk like this, which I
Yeah.
do like because I can talk forever. I know you could too. And so there's something fun about that. But with the news aspect, I become very, adamant about making sure that the information I put out there is correct. My job is to educate and inform. And so that's my goal at the end of the day. But are there many times where I wish I had just 2 or 3 minutes to kind of just talk and be more of myself? Sure. And you don't want to become cookie cutter either when you're doing the news. I don't want people to think that I'm some robot out there. So when I do like a live shot or I do something that's a little bit more, off the cuff, I try to just be myself. Like I don't think I change my voice. Maybe I speak a little clearer. But I try really hard not to change me. Like I don't have a super deep voice. That's okay. I'm not going to stand up there and try to sound like some, deep bellowing radio DJ. So it is hard at times, but I've learned so much. I mean,
Yeah.
it was hit the ground running when I got here because I didn't go to school for any of this.
Yeah.
So I walked in and was like, hey, I don't know anything, but I'm gonna figure it out.
Yeah.
So it's been a learning process, but it's fun.
I feel like you've been doing well though. Like it's funny you mentioned the voice because I feel like you do have a news voice. You know what I mean? You're like Alec Nolan. Like it's just like
no.
it goes. I don't know.
Yeah,
My
I
family
don't
and I
know.
talk about it sometimes. We're
You've
like,
talked about this? Oh, God.
yeah, Brian G. Oh yeah, we talk about it.
Some people will message me and they're like, it's just so weird seeing you like this. And I said, yeah, it's weird for me too. And then I messaged somebody and I was like, is it douchey of me to be posting videos of myself?
No.
And they're like, no, I don't think so. I was like, if it is, you need to tell me. And I said,
But it's the news. Like you're just informing. You know
right.
what I mean?
I'm not
So
like,
it's
hey,
different.
everybody, like,
Yeah.
lights,
No,
camera,
it's
action. So yeah, I mean, most of the stuff I do day to day is, pretty just basic informational stuff. It's not like I'm covering like crazy murders and, all these crazy crimes happening. I mean, Bend is a relatively relaxed place. There's only 100,000 people here.
Yeah.
So it's pretty chill most days. But it is certainly weird. And I think there's a natural insecurity that comes with it. Like I had to wear makeup last night. That's kind of weird.
Oh.
Do you know what I
That's
mean?
interesting.
Yeah. So
I mean, that's expected though, I guess, with like a TV business.
You have to. I always thought it was up to the person. But because of all the lights, you end up looking shiny. And so guys just put on like foundation. And there are times where it's kind of like, oh, this is kind of weird. And, people probably think, weirdly of it. But
no,
I know that I need to do this in order to get where I want to go. So
yeah,
I'm happy with it. But there are times where I wish, I had a regular schedule or I could just kind of go back to what I was doing just because it was nice to, like, I had vacation more. I had more time. Like, I've worked every holiday since I've been here. That's weird.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And I haven't been home that much. It's harder to go home now. But
that's tough.
And I used to there was nothing better than going home, seeing everybody.
Yeah.
Like whether it was you and like Josh and CJ and all of us meeting up and going somewhere. That was cool. That was fun. And then, of course, everybody's got to meet at, what's that?
Sequoia.
Yeah.
Can't forget.
Probably shouldn't do that again, huh?
No, we didn't have it this year. And honestly, I was kind of like bummed about it. I'm like, that's when I just see everyone after a year of not seeing anyone. You just come together, you talk like you just saw each other. And it's great. Like, now it's weird not having those interactions anymore. But
what's it like not being able to like see your sisters as much? Because I mean, you guys are pretty big family and very close and fun and kind of wild. But I mean, you're so far away from them. How are they handling that?
I think they're fine.
They don't miss you at all.
Like when I left for undergrad, okay, that should have been a little bit more significant. It's like, oh, we've lived with you our whole life,
Right.
I could see
big sisters leaving.
I could see from my window Bree moving her stuff into my closet the minute I left. I mean, I'm like backing out the driveway and she is already taking over my room. So I feel like with med school,
she was like, get the hell out of here.
Yeah, they're like, see ya. Like, thanks for leaving all your space. Like, we're taking over.
No love?
We'll miss you though. Like, okay.
Are you the favorite?
Ooh, depends on which sibling. I feel like I'm Gavin's favorite for sure.
Really?
But not positive.
How old is he now?
17.
Oh my God.
I know. I know.
When we met, was your mother pregnant with him?
I think so.
Holy
Yeah,
shit.
because she had him when I was 8. Yeah.
I think she was pregnant with him when we were like in 2nd or 3rd grade.
I don't know. When was I 8? I don't even.
Like 2nd grade.
That was 3rd, 2nd?
God, I hate that. Okay, that's awful.
I
And then
know.
so is
I
he a
know.
senior?
He's going to be next year. He's a junior right now. But I think what's hitting me is his friends. So like to me, Gavin's still the youngest. He's
Right.
still like the baby of the family. You know, he's growing up obviously, but to me, he's always going to be the youngest. You know, his friends are like turning into like legit men. Like I follow one of them on Instagram and I was like, oh my God, like this guy looks older than me.
Yeah, yeah.
Like,
he's got like a beard and muscles.
yeah,
and
like this kid that I saw graduate from preschool at like 3 years old is like a grown man. Like it's very weird and it makes me feel significantly older. Like honestly, that was literally the other night. I was like, oh my God, like they're signing to colleges if they're playing sports, you know, and I'm like, oh my God, like I remember you when you were in like a diaper.
Yeah.
Like,
and now you're on the other end, just like, oh God.
You wonder how our parents feel.
Well, that's why I never understood, like, oh, it happened so fast. And I'm like, this has been a long time. What are you talking about? And now I'm over here like, oh my God, I totally get it now.
Yeah,
and you got to be careful because you get into this rat race with life and just routine and all of a sudden you look up and it's like, oh my God, you know, like I'm closer to 30.
I know. You know what? It's the little things though too. For instance, if I work out, I'm sore longer than I was. You know what I mean? Like it's little things. I'm like, okay, it's day 3. Like I should be good to go. Why am I still sore?
Oh yeah.
Like,
I certainly, I can't drink like I used to. No way.
The hangover?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm
like
kind
detrimental.
of embarrassed, but it's like takes away the whole day. I mean, I'm taking like liquid IV. I have these like Cheers
Wait, what
pills
do you mean?
I got from Shark Tank. Oh, the liquid IV powder. It's like electrolytes in it. You can get it at Costco. This is not an ad, but you can get it at Costco.
I didn't know this.
Literally like it's a powder and 1 glass of it, so water you pour it in, whatever, is equivalent to like 2 to 3 glasses essentially. So it's just like, yeah, I take that before bed. You know, I actually didn't drink that much after undergrad because I lived with my parents. Like, you know, what am I gonna do? Just get hammered at that? You know, it's not the same. Like, there's no frat party. You know, it's just not the same. It's not even okay anymore. You know, but in med school, like people party a little bit. Like as soon as the exam's over, it's
that's what I was gonna say. It's kind of like you're riding this high, and then everybody just.
I mean, we have our bubble. Like you can only hang out with like a certain amount of people indoors because of COVID. Right. I mean, we're all vaccinated now, which has been really nice. Like a bit of a stress. Yeah. We'll go into that in a second. But yeah, people drink hard. And I had a new swim out just a few weeks ago, and I was like out of commish. The next day, I was like, "This is pretty bad."
What was the Shark Tank thing you took?
Oh, Cheers! It's Cheers pills. It's like, I don't know, my friend.
Jeez, you're on all these supplements after you drink.
Yeah, it's not cool, but I mean, I've had them forever. Athlete. I think they last like, I don't know, the expiration date says they're still good, so I've had them forever. But it's like a Cheers. Okay, basically one of the Instagram ads got me. I love Shark Tank. They know that. I don't know, it pops up. It was like $1. It's like just pay for shipping, like first thing, and then it's a subscription, which obviously I canceled immediately because I'm poor. And and I don't know, it's supposed to like help you like detoxify. I don't know.
What's in it?
That's a wonderful question. I'm not positive.
You know, as a medical student, you should know these things.
I should know that, but I'm only a first year, so I'm off the hook.
Cheers, like Cheers.
Yeah, let me see if I can look it up. It's like Cheers drink, you know, Cheers, and it's like, I don't even know. It's like,
and you take it before you go to bed.
Yeah.
See, that's the thing that people mess up with is like they wait till the next day. I'm like, no, if you do stuff the night before, then you're good.
I make sure I have lots of water though. Like I get to a point where I'm like, okay, no more alcohol. I'm gonna walk around with water. Whatever game we're playing, I'm gonna drink water. Like, we still
more
play
responsible
games,
than the average person.
Yeah, people drink here. Like a lot of people though, like a good chunk are fresh out of college. You know what I
Right.
mean? So they're like still in that routine. They can still binge and be okay. And I'm like, yeah, I haven't done like when I think back to undergrad, I'm like, why was I okay? You know,
Oh,
like
I don't know.
like
I've had this conversation with myself many times, and it's like I look back. I'm like, number one, you don't like. I looked terrible. Like I looked puffy, and I don't know. It's bad. And then I think I graduated, and there was like this thing that came over me, like, how did you maintain that lifestyle? Not that I was like some idiot just bumbling around, but
yeah.
um, you know, 3-4 days a week, there was something going on.
Yes. And
Something
and it was totally normal
totally normal.
to do that 3 days, 4 days a week.
And you
Like
go to the library, and the motivation to leave the library is to go to the pregame.
it's God, and
You know
then
what
it
I
was a
mean?
pre and then an after
Yeah.
but you know what? I look back and I'm like, you know what though? Each of those nights I refused to pay for an Uber and would walk my ass 3 miles home. You know, I'm like 3 miles.
That's so
That's
dangerous. Why would you
nothing.
do that?
I would never be alone. Would
Oh,
never be
okay.
alone. Groups like girls travel together in like a
Right,
unit.
right,
It's like 5 of us, you know,
right,
stumbling through a field. Also, it was UC Davis. It was a total college town. You know, like
right.
everyone there is at the college, so it's pretty safe. I mean, I
I
thought it
never
was.
actually visited while my sister was there. I came for her graduation. I know.
Alec.
And she hates me still for that.
Oh, you should have. You should have gone when I was there too. G was there. G was also
I
there.
know. And then I used to tell her that. I'd be like, if you don't want to, hang out the whole time, or you don't want to go out, I was like, there's other people I know that I could go out with. Because my sister doesn't party or drink or
Yeah,
anything
she's
still
so
to this
great.
day. But I did visit her at Georgetown. So that made up for
Okay, yeah,
it.
that
And she
helps.
showed me around the campus. And I mean, it's just
Yeah.
spectacular. But
Oh
I
yeah.
always wanted to go visit Davis. And I don't know. I didn't have a car like my freshman year. Then I
Yeah.
did have a
Same.
car, and then I had a dog, and
Yeah.
then it was just super
It's
difficult.
far too. Like we're north,
Yeah.
you know. Yeah, it's different. I mean,
And so it never worked out. But no, to your point, as we were talking about, the recovery, the bounce
yeah,
back,
not okay.
not okay.
And it's only gonna get worse. That's what worries me. I'm like, wow.
You know what I've been
We'll
drinking
see.
a lot of is those like seltzer waters, like the
Mm.
LaCroix,
White
things
Claw?
like that. Well, no,
Oh,
and
oh,
that.
just the actual water. I hear you.
Right.
As soon
Like
as I
coming
heard
home
LaCroix,
and
I'm like,
like, because I got in this habit,
yeah,
especially in college, in high school, I didn't drink. And
yeah,
so when
same.
I get to college, it was just like full speed ahead. And then it became anytime you sit down to watch something, whether it be a movie or sports, oh yeah, we'll get beer, or oh yeah, we'll get
Yeah.
wine. And then in Santa Barbara, it was like, oh, every night if I watch a movie, like have a glass of wine with dinner, or like have a beer with this. And it just became like habit of like having something with a meal or a movie. And
Yeah.
so it's like now it's like, can you just watch the damn movie like you did for the first 18 years of your life and just
Yeah.
get on with it?
Do you notice that like with
It's not
food
good.
at all? Because I realized in college, I feel like I'd make dinner and then I'd sit down, I'd put something on, like something Family Guy or American Dad, something just
You
dumb in the
watch American
background.
Dad?
So great.
I
Dude,
didn't take you
Roger,
for an
the
American
alien.
Dad per
The alien? I mean,
No,
just any show. Well, okay, so before I would just put on Friends. Friends is off of Netflix.
which is a
Office.
super overrated show.
Office is off of Netflix. American Dad. Family Guy's on Hulu. Oh wait, no, American Dad's not on Netflix anymore either, is it?
I don't know. I wasn't a
Whatever.
big
So,
American Dad guy. I was a big Family guy.
Simpsons I watched as a kid,
Simpsons. I
kind of.
grew up on The Simpsons.
Yeah, I feel like that was
South
like,
Park. My mom hated
mm,
me watching it, but my
yeah.
dad and I would watch it.
Yeah, my dad thinks it's hilarious. My mom thinks it's, awful. So.
Vile.
I mean, it's
Do,
not the best show. Like
do you
looking back,
have
I'm like, mm,
do you have time to like binge watch series
yeah.
anymore, or what are you
Do I
watching right
have
now?
time? I don't. Do I make time? Yeah. Should I? No. You know what I
Right.
mean? Like it's like I don't know. Like there is technically not time, but I have binged watched shows. I'm still waiting for Stranger Things. I tell myself as soon as that's out, I'm just gonna binge it in a night. That'll just be a night gone, and that's fine. And I'll just go
Right.
back to the routine. But I mean, I have time for everyday things. I think it's different because, like, when my dad was in med school, like, he had me, like, his first year, and then he had G his third year.
Oh my
So
God.
having a kid, being married, and a dog, like, that is much different than where I'm at in my life. Like, I have a dog, and he's been, Brody, he's been with me since undergrad.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, he made the trek over to the Midwest. He's gonna be 7 in
Your
May.
dog is that old?
Yeah, I've had him for 6 years.
Oh my God.
I know, because I got him when he was 1. But yeah, it's just another indication of how old we're getting. But that's fine.
I've got a 7.5-month-old. He's passed out though.
I know, you're a cute little dog.
This is what I have to do before I do these podcasts. I wake up and I run him, and I'm like, because if
Good for you.
I'm like, you can't bother me while I'm doing this, buddy. And so I'll run him, and then right before I take him on another walk, and then he just comes home and passes out.
Wow. See, that's good though, because it's keeping you accountable, making you
Oh,
be
no
active.
question. He's crazy. If I don't exercise him, he'll bite off my head.
Yeah, that's a puppy for you. See, mine's like an old man now.
He's chilled out.
So low maintenance. He was low maintenance when I got him though, because he's blind in one eye, cataracts.
No.
So
What a poor guy.
Okay, it's been a minute since we've talked, but yeah, he had surgery on his right eye. He can see out of his right eye fine. He had surgery before I got him at 1 year old, but he had to be isolated from everything when his eye was healing. So he was super mellow because he had never experienced, he never really got walked. He didn't even know what a curb, I tried to get him to step over a curb and it was foreign.
Oh, poor guy.
He was actually very difficult at the beginning because he hadn't seen a man. He hadn't seen a guy because he lived with the breeder. I mean, he had, I guess, technically at the vet, maybe, but that was a traumatic experience. So, because your eyes open during surgery, it's horrible.
Right.
But, yeah, he had never seen a guy, never been on stairs. I think he, peed on a pee pad before I got him. And I was like, yeah, that's not going to work. You're going to go out, It was a tough adjustment, but he's come a very long way.
That's good.
And yeah, he's out here with me, but it's just way different. All I have is a dog. That's my responsibility, dog and myself. So, I can stay up till 3 or 4 a.m. and it's totally okay. Whereas looking at someone with a family, they want to finish at a reasonable time, have time with their children and their wife or their husband or whatever,
I can't even imagine doing all that and then countering in school.
Yeah, and finances. It's I only have to pay for myself and my dog. I can't imagine having to pay with the, it's all loan.
To feed a child.
Yeah, I'm so my dad's experience was definitely different.
That's crazy.
But I couldn't, no, there's no way I feel like I'm not even mature enough for that. That's why I think about it and I'm they had me at this age. What is going on? I barely take care of my dog.
Yeah.
That's insane, but I don't know, different times.
You said you got the vaccine already? How did that play out?
Oh, yeah, sorry. Yeah, I got the Pfizer vaccine.
Okay.
I think I got it in February. I think I got it in February at this point. It's already been a month. But
were you deemed like a higher category?
Yeah, so actually I think it's the 3rd and 4th years med students that got it first because they're the ones actually in clinical settings. But we actually got the opportunity, if we wanted to sign up, to volunteer to give the vaccines. And in order to do that, we had to be vaccinated. So a majority of my first year class and second years too got vaccinated. And I've been able to volunteer weekly for the most part when it's available to give the COVID vaccines to the Kansas City community, which has been really cool. Kind of terrifying at first, but then now, you get into the groove of things. But they literally just threw me in a room last week. They're all right, 4 hours. I switched with my friend halfway, but they just threw me in a room. You fill out the paperwork, the card, talk to the patient, sit them down, do the whole thing, give the vaccine, and they're on their way. And I was just wow, this is really, it's an awesome opportunity because we didn't get we're not even on campus really, you obviously don't get any patient interaction. So this was a golden opportunity to have that chance to experience some clinical experience while in school and practice some of your skills. So, now I feel like giving a shot isn't that intimidating. Whereas a few months ago, I would have been oh, I don't know what to do. I don't know how to do it, whatever. But getting the shot itself, the first dose, totally fine. little arm soreness, whatever. My lymph node actually in my armpit was pretty enlarged, which is a thing, I guess. But
That's a common side effect, I believe.
yeah, it just felt like I woke up and I don't know why, but I slept with my arm above my head that night, and it just felt like someone had punched me in the armpit, is how I described it. Other than that, totally fine. Second shot, for me, I mean, it's different for everyone. For me, it was like 13 hours after I got it. And it's usually like 12 to 14, so that wasn't abnormal, where I developed some symptoms. And it was just like, I was just so tired and kind of had the chills. Like I had like 4 blankets on me, and then I went to bed, and like, if I had a fever, it broke in the middle of the night because I woke up sweating, but I also had 4 blankets on. And then the next morning I was just tired from like poor sleep, but it was fine. Like within like 24 hours, I was fine. So, I mean, if you have the opportunity to get it, I would obviously recommend it. I heard hopefully most people will get it by May is the goal right now.
Yeah, that's what they're saying. And they're saying, hopefully by Christmas that, everything would be distributed in a way that nearly all of Americans are where they need to be, or at least we're at a sense of normalcy.
It's just tough though, because it's like no one really knows how long it lasts.
No.
Like I think they know for sure like 3 months at this point, because that's what they've tested. But
here's the thing is like even if you've got the vaccine, they're assuming that everyone's going to get it. There are a lot of people that will refuse to get it.
Yeah, that's tough. It is. I mean, well, now they just approved another one, J&J or something.
Yeah, John, and it's only like 1 dose.
Yeah, 1 dose, more like the flu shot, like whatever.
Like a classic vaccine, not the mRNA, right?
Yeah, which is kind of nice. But I don't know, my whole class pretty much got it. I mean, all of healthcare is getting it. Like, I mean, I feel like that should be a sign enough that it's probably a safe thing to do at this point.
Well, the CDC released new guidelines. They said if 2 people have been fully vaccinated, you can be like, you're allowed to go no mask.
Wow.
Right.
See, I don't get that because there's new strains, I thought. So I'm like, I don't really know. But Texas is reopening and they're only like 6 or 7% vaccinated.
Oh yeah, their governor Abbott, he was like, yeah, we're opening up fully. And I thought, this is going to be an experiment.
Yeah, so we'll just watch them and learn.
Yeah, exactly. Everyone's just going to watch that and go, what happens there?
It's like an experiment. It's just horrible for them. But
it is, it just
hopefully it goes well.
I know. It just feels like ever since that, and this is, I mean, a year basically ago, it just feels like nothing has ever been the same since then. It's like we turned the page on a new era and it's never been the same. And I don't know if it'll ever be the same. And so I try to just stay positive, but it's always felt like there's just something off, every day since then. And it sucks because you're trying to do all these important things in your life and you feel like these other inhibitors are coming in at such an important time in your life. But your attitude thus far, you wouldn't think that you're dealing with anything difficult, but.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just been going on long enough that people have kind of adjusted, but to what you were saying, it's kind of like adds like an extra fear factor to different things, like even just traveling home. It's like, okay, make sure I got my N95. I mean, I wore like goggles on the plane. Not sure if that was totally necessary.
You wore goggles on the plane?
I wore goggles on the plane when I came home for Thanksgiving. I was like, I don't know. I wasn't vaccinated then. And I was like, I don't know, where these, like, I can't trust everyone around me. That's the worst part. Like, you just don't know. Like, I don't know. It's just adds an extra fear factor to things. Like, oh, can I go to a restaurant? Like, if I see a server with it down, like, to here, I'm like, dude, like, just pull it up. Like, I don't know. It's like the little bits. I'm like, how long's that been down? Do you have any symptoms? Would you be honest? Or do you, like, need this job? Like, people, it's hard. Like, it's hard.
It makes me realize how, like, unhygienic so many things were before this.
It grosses me out.
I don't know if you've noticed this or you feel this way, but, like, if you watch something on TV now and it's, like, an older episode of something and this person walks into a restaurant and it's super packed and no one's wearing a mask, my first thought is, like I go, oh, that guy, oh, what am I thinking? Like, this is, this is 5 years ago. But I'm so used to seeing that.
Yeah.
That to see a bunch of people in a large space, like a restaurant with no masks, it like messes with my mind. And I'm thinking to myself, oh my God, look what this has done to me.
Well, okay. I don't know if you've noticed these things. I've thought about it a little bit too, where the restaurants, like they used to not sanitize the seats and the table before we sat down. You know what I mean? Like, and that was okay. Like, at a Mexican restaurant, I'd eat a chip off the table. Like, it was totally fine, even though like someone's kid could have licked
Maybe
it
they
for
just,
all I know.
yeah, they probably just grabbed like a wet rag and wiped the table.
Yeah. Every table with the same wet rag, you know, like that's
Wow.
that's pretty gross to think about. And also, bowling alleys. I would bowl and then go eat like a pizza or something, like at a party or get together.
Everyone's sticking
like,
their hand on the ball.
Yeah. And I'm like, oh my, I mean, your fingers are in, like, you are, oh, that's bad. That's pretty bad. And I'm like, ooh, wow. And I thought that was like totally okay. Or airports, like, they don't really sanitize the seats. Like, I would sit there for hours doing whatever I want. I eat, I do whatever. And who knows? It's weird to think about.
Yeah.
And it's kind of sad that I have to think about it like that now. But it is weird. Like, even like the table I'm sitting on at the study space, like, there's like a sanitizer spray to clean it out. But I'm like, who was here before?
Right.
Like,
you
what
don't know.
happened? Like,
well, I remember when this all started, they would kept wash your hands. And my mom's like, is nobody washing their damn hands before this? Like, she was like, what do you mean wash your hands? She's like, everybody should, like, you go to the bathroom, you wash your hands, you know, you go to eat somewhere, you wash your hands. And she was like, what the hell's wrong with these people? I said, Mom, you'd be surprised. You know, a lot of people don't care.
Well, see, groceries, that was another thing for me. I wouldn't sanitize my hands the minute I got in the car, but I like touched all that stuff. I dealt with like the bags and like I touched the like where you put the card in, like you put your number in, you sign, like whatever, all that. I touched all that and I would get in the car and not sanitize. What? Like now, obviously it's routine, but I'm like, why did I not think that was not like, I don't know.
That's what I'm saying. I think so much of this is just going to change the way we do things. Like habits are formed, routines will be formed. Just, I think the societal norms have totally changed after this. Like nothing will ever go back to the way it was. Not nothing, but I just think the way we handle things just won't, you know?
Yeah,
I mean, would we be sitting here right now having this conversation if it weren't for, you know, the rise in popularity of Zoom and conversations like this and FaceTime? Like, I don't know.
Probably not, honestly.
I'd probably never talk to you again.
We'd still talk.
Yeah.
It's like the random FaceTimes here and there. That's where we catch each other. But
well, the thing that's interesting to me is, and I guess fortunate for me when you were talking about at the beginning of this whole thing, just like staying in touch and having that kind of like support system. Like we do take a lot of things for granted. I don't think I've ever taken my friends for granted, but I'm glad I've been reminded at how lucky I've been, like how fortunate I've been to have met the people I did growing up. Like I would not be who I am if it were not for those people. And so I think that's what I've taken away from this the most is like, it's really made me realize who's important in my life and who I want to stay in contact with, you know, moving forward. And that's probably the best thing that's happened.
Yeah, and see, it's why I have a soft spot for Fresno. Like, look at these great people that came out of it. Like, I don't know, but also my college friends.
If we could take all those cool people and put them in a cooler place, that'd be even better.
Yeah, it would be a game changer. For sure be going home. But no, yeah, I agree. I have met some great people over the years, and it's been such a blessing, honestly. Like, it is, especially in times like these, like when you can't do anything else. But I also met new people this year that I know I'm going to be friends with for, you know, the rest of my life, most likely. I mean, I hope.
Well, it's a shared experience. I mean, that speaks volumes. You'll take that with you guys everywhere.
Yeah. And I don't know. I'm very grateful for the people I have in my life as well. Like it's definitely, I am definitely lucky, even with my family, although we have our issues. We're still great in my mind.
Yeah. No, I think it's all about perspective at this point and trying to just handle things the best way they are. I mean, when this whole thing started, it was like, there's one of two ways to go about it. You either just get frustrated with it and kind of like retaliate against it, or you take it for what it is and try and make the situation better for yourself and those closest to you, and just look back and say, hey, we got through all that. You know, now everything else could be easier.
Yeah. Oh, at the beginning of this though, like I was enjoying myself, making homemade pasta, baking, reading a book, practicing like acro couple yoga with G in the backyard because we thought that was funny and fun. Like, oh, I took advantage of that break, but then it didn't stop. And I was like,
No.
okay.
It felt like a little mini vacation of like figuring out different things to do to entertain yourself. And then I was just like, I hate this.
Yeah, because I was working at the very beginning of it. This is like before, because we thought it was going to be like 2 or 3 weeks. I'm like, okay. Then when they realized it
two
was
weeks
going,
to flatten the curve, remember?
yeah. Oh God. When at work we stayed at the beginning, and like my siblings, everyone was home, all my friends were home, like people came back to Fresno, like, people came back to their homes, and everyone was like doing something interesting, and I was like, oh, this sucks, like being at work, like, oh, like I want to go watch a movie all day, like oh my God, again, if I can go back and just slap myself there too, like, not okay. But yeah, I mean,
But now
everything
you're
works
here.
out the way it's supposed to. I had my little break before school started, which was kind of nice, and then got thrown back into the swing of things really quickly. But I mean, I've adjusted and it's been great. So it all works out, I guess, in the end. But
Well, I'll leave you with this. It's pretty awesome to see you in this position, and not many people, I think, follow through with what they want to do. And it's good to see you doing what you want to do, and not losing any sort of faith or motivation on it. And um, I think we all need those types of people to remind us ourselves of what we want to do and continue to do.
okay, well, thank you. I'm touched. I'm honestly honored to have been a part of
Oh
this. Like,
no,
it's so
it's not
cool.
that big of a deal.
No, it's pretty cool. I'm saying it's a big deal.
Well, we'll have to run it back as you go through this, because this is super interesting and you're just getting started
Yeah,
with this. So,
I know. It'll be interesting to see where we're at in a few years, but
yeah. And I'll have to come to Kansas City eventually at some point and get
yeah.
some barbecue, because
Hey, if we're back in the Super Bowl or any type of
that's a good
situation that
point.
might get us there, you should come visit, 'cause it'd be fun. Next year, I'm excited. I think it's going to be a good year.
Before I leave, can you name 3 Kansas City Chiefs players?
No, but I can name
You can't
Patrick
name 3?
Mahomes.
Okay,
I can
1.
name Patrick Mahomes, and I follow him on Instagram. Hey, like I said, I'm just a bandwagoner. I
You
pretty
can't
much
name
only
one other
watch.
player.
No,
Travis Kelce?
wouldn't have rang a
Tyreek
bell for
Hill?
me.
All right. Well, at least you admit you're a bandwagoner.
Well, yeah, I mean, technically, I was a Raiders fan because my dad's a Raiders fan, but I don't even know those players except for Derek Carr, but, so I'm not really a huge football person,
All
but
right. Before we do this next time, study up. We'll do if you can
yeah,
do the starting lineups, then we'll be good
we'll
on
do a little
progress.
questionnaire. No, I'll get it. Next year I'll get it. So we'll see.
All right. Well,
But
thank you,
it was
Kaitlyn,
super nice.
and we'll run it back and keep me updated with everything. And
Yeah.
it's awesome to see what you're doing.
Yeah, well, thanks for having me. This was great. It was nice catching up.
Awesome. Thanks, Kaitlyn. Thanks for joining us. If you like what you hear, you can like, share, and subscribe if you want to hear more. Peace.